The town was a place untouched by time, where days flowed in steady, predictable rhythms, and the lives of its inhabitants moved like water through a familiar, shallow stream. But that fragile balance began to unravel the day the food stopped remaining. Every morning, delivery trucks arrived heavy with crates, brimming with fresh produce, bread, and canned goods. And the store shelves gleamed under fluorescent lights, neatly stocked and orderly. Yet by noon, as the sun reached its zenith and the streets settled into a lazy lull, every scrap of food vanished without a trace. It was not theft. No signs of forced entry, no footprints in the dust, and no evidence of animals scavenging. The sustenance simply evaporated into thin air, leaving behind only the cold hum of empty refrigerators and the sterile silence of barren shelves. At first, the townsfolk believed it a cruel trick or some inexplicable malfunction in the supply chain. But as the phenomenon persisted, it became clear that the hunger gnawing at their insides was something far beyond mere appetite. It burrowed beneath the flesh, deep into the marrow, an ache no feast could quell, a craving born not of physical need, but of something far more profound and unyielding. They ate and ate, yet their bodies thinned, their skin stretched tight over ribs that grew sharper by the day. Eyes once bright and lively dulled into hollow pools, reflecting slow, inevitable decay. Doctors who came from distant places could find no disease, no poison, no biological explanation. Their tests returned clean. Their theories faltered. The people moved about the streets in a kind of trance, smiles slack and empty, their motions deliberate but devoid of the spark of life. They gathered at tables set with empty plates, lips moving in silent whispers to invisible guests. At night, strange murmurs leaked from homes, words in languages no one recognized. When some attempted to flee, cars sputtered and died on open roads that folded and twisted in impossible ways, looping travelers back into the heart of the town as if the land itself refused to relinquish them. Radios tuned to any frequency emitted only static, broken by faint, unintelligible voices in an ancient language slipping through the cracks of time and reality. Sylvie, watching her neighbors dissolve into shadows, felt the slow hunger claw at her own insides, pulling at her will and bending her thoughts toward quiet surrender. Memories she clung to, the warmth of a morning sun, the laughter of children playing in the fields slipped away, dissolving like mist in cold air. At night, the silence pressed heavy against her chest, thick enough to choke on, filling every empty space with dreadful expectancy. And then came the revelation. The town sat atop a vast subterranean cavern, a place once sacred to those who came before. Ancient peoples who revered the earth not as dirt and stone, but as a living entity, breathing slowly beneath their feet, its heart beating deep in the dark. Over centuries, the town's expansion had fractured that heart. Roads carved through bedrock, wells drilled deep, mines hollowing its veins. The land's spirit had fractured, wounded beyond repair. The slow hunger was the earth's reclamation, a process not of malice, but of necessity. The food vanished because the land itself had withdrawn its generosity, drawing sustenance back into the cavern's depths to feed the wounded spirit struggling to heal. The ache in the people's bones was the earth pulling its children back toward balance, demanding the price of its own survival. The roads bent and radios whispered to keep the secret, trapping the town in a liminal space between existence and oblivion. The slow hunger was the earth reclaiming what had been lost. The slow, painful reckoning of a broken bond between people and the land that bore them. Sylvie understood then that the hunger was not a curse. It was the final reckoning for a town that had forgotten to honor the breath beneath their feet. And in that truth lay the fragile hope that the slow hunger might one day cease, not with escape or defiance, but with remembrance and healing.